key announcement was the creation of a huge artificial intelligence project called Stargate. He called the plan the biggest project of its kind in history. It will see the private sector invest $500 billion in AI infrastructure in the United States over the next 4 years. Mr. Trump said it would create around 100,000 jobs in America.
A few moments later.
It's a bloodbath on Wall Street. Since morning, tech stocks have been tumbling. They're set to lose $1 trillion, $1 trillion in a day. What led to this? A Chinese chatbot. It is called Deepsake, and it is
Stock markets opened just a few minutes ago, and it's not pretty. Down big, especially the tech-heavy NASDAQ. CNN's Matt Egan is here to explain what we're seeing and why, Matt.
Yeah, John, we've got a bit of a tech sell-off this morning, and it's being caused by earth-shattering developments in the AI space.
Breaking news this hour on the Big Money Show. Wall Street rattled by fears that China has caught up to America on artificial intelligence. NVIDIA leading the sell-off, down about 15%, tanking on the news that Deepsake has an AI model similar to ChatGPT, but operating at a fraction of the cost. They say it was built in 2 months for less than $6 million. It's now the #1 app on the App Store.
China's latest AI breakthrough has leapfrogged the world.
I think we should take the development out of China very, very seriously.
A game-changing move that does not come from OpenAI, Google, or Meta.
There is a new model that has all of the valley buzzing.
But from a Chinese lab called Deepsake.
It's opened a lot of eyes of like what is actually happening in AI in China.
What took Google and OpenAI years and hundreds of millions of dollars to build, Deepsake says took it just 2 months and less than $6 million.
Impressive breakthroughs that he has ever seen. Now, the most stunning thing here isn't necessarily that China has developed a pretty good AI app. It's how cheap it is. Deepsake says that their AI model only cost $5.6 million. Now, we don't know that, but if that's true, that is pretty stunning. Anthropic, one of the leading AI companies, has said that it costs about $100 million to $1 billion to develop an AI model.
Okay, so first of all, China has a lot of disadvantages in competing with the US. Number one is the fact that they don't get access to all the hardware that we have access to here. So they're kind of working with lower end GPUs than us. It's almost like working with the previous generation GPUs crappily. And the fact that the bigger models tend to be more smarter naturally puts them at disadvantage. But the flip side of this is that necessity is the mother of invention. Because they had to go figure out workarounds, they actually ended up building something a lot more efficient. It's like saying, hey, look, you guys really got to get a top-notch model, and I'm not going to give you resources, and like figure out something, right? Unless it's mathematically possible to prove that it's impossible to do so, you can always try to like come up with something more efficient. But that is likely to make them come up with a more efficient solution than America. And of course, they've open sourced it, so we can still adopt something like that here. But that kind of talent they're building to do that will become an edge for them over time, right? The leading open source model in America is Meta's Llama family. It's really good. It's kind of like a model that you can run on a computer. But even though it got pretty close to GPT-4 and Sonnet at the time of its release, the model that was closest in quality was the giant 405B, not the 70B that you could run on your computer. And so there was still not a small, cheap, fast, efficient open source model that rivaled the most powerful closed models from OpenAI and Anthropic. Nothing from America, nothing from Mistral AI either. And then these guys come out with like a crazy model that's like 10x cheaper in API pricing than GPT-4o and 15x cheaper than Sonnet, I believe. Really fast, 60 tokens per second, and pretty much equal or better in some benchmarks and worse in some others, but like roughly in that ballpark of 4.0's quality. And they did it all with like approximately just 2048 H800 GPUs, which is actually equivalent to like somewhere around 1500 or 1500 H100 GPUs. That's like 20 to 30x lower than the amount of GPUs that GPT-4 is usually trained on. They did roughly $5 million in total compute budget. They did it with so little money and such an amazing model, gave it away for free, wrote a technical paper, and definitely it makes us all question like, okay, like if we have the equivalent of Doge for like model training, this is an example of that.